Hi there, my name is Steve Gerhardt and this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video this week. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. This week is going to be another anime review. I know, shocking. I'm actually on a roll here doing anime reviews. So this is going to be another collection of anime as a movie or DVD set. Actually, in this case, it's a movie. And it's going to be called Short Piece. So, a number of years ago, I was watching YouTube and I was kind of watching AMVs. I was on the AMV kick and kind of watching stuff. And I happened to see this one particular AMV. I forget what the song was, but it was I think it was along the line. I think it was AC/DC, if I remember correctly. And the AMV was based on one of the short animes in this collection called Short Piece. And I had seen this AMV. I liked the animation of it. I was kind of intrigued about what the story could be, and I kind of went on a search for it. And over the years, I kind of learned that, of course, it was a compilation of 4 different anime, and this happened to be one of them. And I kind of got a little bits and pieces of the story, enough to figure out what it was about. The one particular anime showing these guys scavenging for relic but functional weapons within Tokyo, a deserted and ruined Tokyo. And so I was kind of looking to find this DVD. And, it was kind of one of those back in the head searches whenever I'm at a convention. If it occurs to me to look for it, I might see it. So this was actually one of the few high points I had from Otakon 2022. Was that first time into the dealer room, I'm like, oh yeah, Short Piece, I should keep an eye out for it. And I literally looked down and there it was. There you go. So yes, Short Piece. A DVD of 4 animes. And this is put together by Katsuhiro Otomo. Yes, that guy from Akira, who also put together back in 1995 Memories, which was another collection of different anime stories within a movie format. And it was basically, Memories was really about being able to flex your artistic muscles, and this is no different, and that's kind of what this is about. So the when you start to watch it, if you've seen Memories and you watch this and you're just like, wow, this seems a lot like Memories, because it kind of is. So the title sequence that comes up is a girl looking for her pet, and as she's looking for her pet, she comes across this entranceway. She goes into it, and then of course she starts transporting into these different worlds where we come across these different stories. They all take place in Japan. They all take place in either Tokyo, Edo, or right near or next to excuse me, Mount Fuji. So these 4 stories, again, are basically animators that are flexing their muscles, so to speak. So I just kind of going to go through the stories real quick, and I will tell you that if you can get yourself a copy of this, get it. It's kind of fun. It's the animation. This is 2013, but the animation is really kind of good on that. So again, this is Otomo kind of picking out people who really know what they're doing and putting together these 4 stories. And you can find it, by the way, if you happen to have a subscription to High Dive. I know for a fact it is on there. It is under their movie section. So if you have High Dive and this piques your interest, please give it a watch. Okay, so the first story that we come across is probably my favorite story out of the 4. And this is called Possessions. And you're basically told that at the beginning of the anime that in Taoist theory, tools that manage to survive 100 years become sentient, and they have their own little souls and lives that they go through. And this guy is wandering a forest. He's got a kit on his back on a stick, and he's wearing a hat, and he's in a rainstorm in the forest at the base of Mount Fuji, and he's trying to make his way, and the storm's just getting worse and worse and worse. His hat blows off, and it blows next to a shrine, a small shrine in the middle of this forest. So this guy, who's a big, burly, rough and tumble looking kind of guy, comes up to the shrine, and he opens the shrine door. It's a tiny little thing, and he just says, just because this is what you're supposed to do, is to say, "Hi, I'm here. I'm going to take shelter for a while. Sorry, please excuse me. Can I be here for a moment?" And he knows nobody's in there, but that's kind of the protocol that you follow. So he goes in there, and then he sits down, and as the storm is raging, he kind of closes his eyes, and he opens them, and then he's suddenly in a small room, clean, with tatami mats, and then suddenly all these broken fans kind of appear, and there's this little fan toad thing singing this little ditty about, here and there being broken and useless. And the guy looks around, and he's kind of creeped out because it's like these fans with like little eyes behind them, like where the cloth and paper is ripped. And he's looking and he goes, "These fans are magnificent." And he pulls his kit out, and it turns out that he's a repairman. He repairs items. He repairs dresses. He repairs fans. He repairs tools. All these things, different things that he repairs. And as he is trying to find his way back out of the shrine, he's going to room by room by room. It's almost like a TARDIS, like Doctor Who's TARDIS. It's like outside is a little tiny shrine, but inside is like its own dimensional universe, right? So he keeps going through these things, and he breaks out the kit, and he just repairs the thing, and then he's able to go into the next room. And it's kind of like he's going through the things, and he ends up at the end with the big boss battle, and I'm not going to spoil it for you. Like I said, this is probably my favorite one out of the four. The animation is interesting. The backdrop, it's basically backdrop animation, computer placed, if that makes sense. When you watch it, you'll see what I mean. So yeah, definitely my favorite. I really, really, really enjoyed it, especially the end. The second one is, I believe it's the second one, is Combustible. And this one is based on a manga by the same name. It's kind of like a one-shot manga. And it's a traditional sort of a Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers, and just life just gets in the way. And it starts with these two kids, a boy and a girl, and they become friends. And one is from a upper level, kind of like nobility, not nobility, but definitely upper level rich, and he's more of a comes from a grubby family, so to speak, and so different stations in life. But they keep in touch with each other, and they fall in love. Life intervenes. She is arranged marriage, so she's upset because she loves this guy, and so she's looking through all the wedding gifts that she has been given. The next day she's to marry, and she is upset, and she takes a fan that was a gift, closes it, and throws it, and it falls into a lantern, a fire lantern, where you have the waxed paper, so it gives light during the night. It falls in there, and a fire starts. And this fire kind of spreads into the city of Edo, Japan. And again, I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, but at this point, historically, if you are a historian, a Japanese historian, if you know anything about the Edo period, you understand how important firemen were, how they did things, and this was a really good snapshot of how firemen in a condensed, densely populated city have to fight fires, how they do it. And it's not just getting water from the canals to splash on things, but it's actually about how to figure out where the fire is actually going to go, and then find the buildings that are intervening between the fire and the rest of the city, and knock them down so that the flames don't jump from building to building to building to building. And so the boy is a fireman, and this is what he does for a living. And during the firestorm within this part of the city, he sees the girl that he loves. The girl is supposed to be married off in the morning. And we're going to leave it at that because you got to watch it. It's a good story. And I'm going to leave it at that. So the next one on there is this kind of oddball one. I mean, they're all oddballs, but this one just is kind of weird. It's called Gambo. I will warn you that in Gambo there is a scene that is very reminiscent of how aliens work, like the movie Alien. You know how they, use people as hosts for their little spawn. There's a moment in this particular anime where it shows a thing happening, and it's hard to watch that little one part of it. So just a warning, you might get triggered. So if you're upset about bad things happening to younger people, probably skip this one. And honestly, this is the weakest story of the 4. So if you want to skip that, that's fine. I would tell you to continue watching the others. So the Gambo is basically this. It starts off with a Christian samurai. Yes, they did exist, and they were just going through a battle, and the lead guy comes across this white bear, and this white bear is just like on his hind legs, like ready to just like murder this guy, and he stops and walks away. So the Christian samurai is wounded. He's just like, oh my gosh. And he goes to the village and they bind his wounds and things like that. And he and his compatriots find out that there is an Oni in the village. And the way that they appease the Oni is that every night they have to find a young woman, old enough, but, like 13, 14. So this is kind of where it gets a little... And they have to offer her up to the Oni. And bad things happen to the little girl. So if that bothers you, don't watch this anime. And it's supposed to bother you, by the way. It's evil. So the Oni goes on a rampage, kills a couple people, and leaves the village alone for the night because he's got the girl. The next girl who is supposed to be offered up is actually the Emperor's daughter. Okay, so she kind of escapes the plot, so to speak, and she's running away, and she's upset because she's going to be sacrificed to this Oni. She has no idea what this thing is, and it's horrible. It kills people and just takes women away. And she comes across this white bear. And this white bear comes up to her and seems to understand that there's something wrong. And there's this weird communication that happens between the two, and she somehow understands what the bear's name is, Gambo. And so Gambo realizes that there's a problem and comes across the Oni's lair. And I'm just going to leave it at that because the end you kind of go, oh, okay, weird. But okay, and I don't want to spoil it for you in case you want to watch it. So Gambo goes to the lair, finds the girl that was kidnapped from the night before, and she begs the bear to kill her because I'm just going to go ahead and say it, she's about to give birth to demon spawn. Alright, so Gambo does his thing. The place where the Oni's lair is blows up. The Oni is not happy about this, and the two of them get into a fight. So this big white bear and this Oni get into a fight. The Christian samurai show up, and they try to help the white bear. And battle ensues. And we're going to leave it at that. And again, if you don't want to watch this particular one, I can understand why. If you can get through it, great. If you can't, then don't worry about it. But if you do watch it, the ending is there's a little bit of a payoff at the ending. Just leave it at that. So the last one, which is the one that I saw as an AMV, is A Farewell to Weapons. So basically, Scorched Earth, these guys are in this large vehicle, driving across the desert, and they are a team of military scavengers, and what they're supposed to do is gather weapons. They find out that there might be some cache of weapons out there, and they want to get them and destroy them. Like they get a bonus for every weapons that they find, and the bigger the weapon, so to speak, the more money they get. And they're on a supposedly big money adventure here. So they are suited up. They have exoskeletons that they use. They use a lot of like flying drones and things like that to try and find these caches of weapons. And they're taken to Tokyo, which is completely devastated. The river and the harbor, everything, the water's all dried up. There's been a huge war, so obviously everyone is trying to decommission as much weaponry as they can because this was such an awful war. And Tokyo is just laid waste. In the background, Fuji looks like an actual volcano. And so this team goes into the city to find this really big weapon. And as they go in, they discover that they've been discovered by autonomous mechanized weaponry that are still activated, still active, and hunt people that are identified as soldiers down to protect these caches of weapons. You know, the operators are long gone. They're just going on their own programming, right? So this team they find one, they call it a gonk, and they find one and they undergo as a team a mission to destroy it so they can get to the cache of weapons and bring it out and have them destroyed later on and get their bonus pay. So that's kind of the story behind it. And let's just say that things go south very, very, very quickly. But the ending of this particular anime, the fourth anime, is somewhat humorous, I have to say. It's a little grim, but humorous. A little bit of dark humor going on here. So, short piece. Should you watch this? Yes. If you watched Memories and you enjoyed Memories for what it was a showcasing of animation talent, flexing muscles, that kind of a thing, then you're definitely going to enjoy this. The animation is even, in some cases, amazing. Like Possessions, again, my favorite one. I really like the animation of that. A Farewell to Weapons is good, solid 2010s animation. You'll enjoy it. It's really nice. Gambo, again, is the weakest one, and the animation is fine. But Combustible goes harkens. Actually, I think Otomo actually does combustion, but you don't really recognize his work. But it's really, really interesting. Like a scroll opens up to start to tell the beginning of the story. So yeah, avail yourself of this. Again, it's going to be on High Dive if you happen to have High Dive. If not, there are copies of this out there in the world. So the next convention you go to, maybe see if you can find it. This is not one of those where it's going to cost you like $50, $45, whatever. I think I got this for $25, and I may have been overpaying by about $5 or so. I don't know, maybe. 2013 compilation for anime. 3 really good stories. One story that if you can get through it, great. If not, don't worry about it. But I also just like it for the cover art. I don't know if it comes up very well or not, but yeah. So yeah, short piece. Have a watch. So yeah, short piece. Give it a watch. Highly recommend it. So that's going to be it for this week. Next week, I think I might be reviewing a kaiju movie. I said I was going to do 5 reviews of kaiju movies, 5 different kaiju movies. So next week might be one. I'm not 100% sure. You'll definitely get an anime review if I don't do that one. And I think at the end of this month, I'm going to be out of town. So I think you'll get an AMV for that one at the end of this month. So anyway, so that's it. And maybe a kaiju next week. And I hope you guys are doing well. And thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, take care of yourselves out there because I love you guys. And someday we'll meet in person. Okay, that'd be cool. Have a good one.